Hello, this is Fury. I am recording a video about Blender. Now, Blender, in case you're not sure about, is basically a program where you create models, like whether it's a donut, whether it's a knife. Basically, you can make anything that's a solid object. So this tutorial specifically will be about creating a knife, as I suggested before. It won't be like amazingly detailed, but it does show off the main idea of the knife. Anyway, to start, usually you would have a block in the middle, but I would get rid of that first, so you'd normally press X and click delete. But now we need to add an object. So to add objects, you go Shift A, and then this little panel pops up. We want a cube, a cylinder. So go to Mesh, and you should be able to find one like that. Then try not to click anywhere else, because that would close this, and then you'll have to delete that and place it down again. But this window is designing the cylinder on how high resolution it is. Now, since for me I'm planning on importing this onto Roblox, it doesn't need to be too high resolution, otherwise it would be too complicated for Roblox and they just wouldn't accept it. So, thinking about things, I think it's safe to go with 23. Radius will make that 0.6. Doesn't really matter. I mean, it only matters when you're trying to scale it with real life objects. But you can always do that after. Anyway, now you can click off, and you've got your sweet little cylinder here. Now I'm a little off-centered, so I'll just press the period key on the number pad and I'm locked onto the cylinder. That helps everything. Alright, so to start off, we're going to need a bit of a handle base to this. Now you can't exactly just scale it. You kind of need more detail than that. Well, I guess you can scale it. Actually, let's do that now. So click scale, which is over here, and then you press X. No, okay, no. It doesn't matter. I was used to using the hotkey. I mean, there's two ways to scale. You could click the tool here and highlight the object, and just drag which one you want. Or there's the other way, where you could highlight the object and press S for scale, and then it'll just scale for you. Now we want to scale directly up and down, so that would be Z. If you press Z, yeah, it scales up and down. Oh god, what did I just... Anyway, now we got this thing. Bring it to a reasonable size for a handle, but like a tiny bit smaller, because we're going to need to add a bit at the bottom, and that should be fine for now. Actually, it's just a little bit small. Okay, so now we're going to shape the bottom of the handle so it's a bit more roundish at the end. To do that, we're going to have to extrude. Now to extrude, we're also going to have to go into edit mode, which to do that you highlight the object and press tab on your keyboard, or you could find this option up here and go to edit mode instead of object mode. Now you have this whole area. You get like a dot at each vertices of the object. To make this roundish part at the bottom, we're going to have to select only the bits at the bottom. And once we do that, all you have to do is press E, and then you get to move it down and up. Now, what you've done there is you've extruded a piece out, if that's using the word correctly. You've got a whole other area of joints here, so I mean, you can do a lot of things with these joints, but what I want to do for the knife would be to scale S, and then that did not work. Okay, let's not... Nope, maybe it did work. My eyes are playing tricks. Alright, so now we've got this again. Okay, so you left click to confirm. Left click to confirm the extrusion. And then next, whilst it's still selected, this row, not that row, you would want to press S for scale. And you kind of got this thing you can do. Now for me, since I want a roundish bottom, it would kind of be like there. And if I just deselect that and press tab again, you've got a bit of a bottom to the base. Now I sculpted this wrong, so I'm going to just quickly see what I can do here to fix that. Alright, so now we've got the base handle, little base handle thing, looking base handle here. I tried to say something else, but then I gave up. Anyway, next we're going to need the other thing, the thing that goes in between the blade and the handle, which I don't know its name, so we're just going to call it dart object. Okay. So now we're going to have to shift A again and add a cube. And that cube is not supposed to be there. So click the move tool over here, or G for grab, and then Z to go up. I mean, yeah, I'll just do it for an example. G to grab, and then if you press Z, it'll go only up and down. Let's move it up a bit here, you'll see why in a second. Then we're going to have to scale it again. That did not work. Alright, so we kind of want to scale it to size really well here, so all you have to do is S for scale, X for the sideways scale thing, and then I'd say that skinny is how you need it. And then from the top, we're going to have to lower that, so S, Z, down. Okay, that's a little awkward. That went up. Is that a big enough gap? Yeah, make sure you leave like a reasonable sized gap in between these two parts. Alright, that's about right. We're going to need that gap to extrude again. So tab, select these four, E for extrude, and go to where you believe is the golden spot to fill the gap. Yeah, you know, screw it, that should be right. Anyway, the next part is just like the base of the cylinder over here. We press S and we just make it small. Now make sure you're looking at it like so the long ways is left to right, because then you can see exactly when it's cutting into the circle, and then you can just make sure it doesn't do that, because that just looks ugly on your knife. Yep, okay. So knife has been updated. Knife has now got dingy between the blade and that. Now we're going to need to add, once again, another cube. So Shift A, cube. We'll move that up to just about the end of this little thing. If I can't think of this by the end of the day, I'm going to be very weirded out. Alright, got it. So long way is that way. Alright. So let's just make sure there's no Z fighting over here. Yep, that should be good enough. Let's go to scale again, X, I believe, and we just bring it in like that. Easy. And actually do it again with Y. And then finally with Z to make it the proper height for a bulk. Jesus Christ. Every time. That should be the right size. Also, I'm very sorry if I can't explain this. I'm just trying to get this tutorial done, as quickly and as neatly as possible. Just because I know the amount of people that make very long tutorials and spend the first minute or so on simply just explaining their life story. I saw a comment that was exactly like that, so I'm going to quote that comment of the name who I do not remember. I am not... There we go. Yes. Anyway, this part is a tricky part. It's not tricky for shaping the blade because Blender kind of does all that on your own. I just know that some people would think that. Looking at you, Joe, and I'm so sorry. Basically, actually, it's a very much more simpler way than, say, if you were trying to make a blade on Roblox Studio. To make it, you kind of click on it and then go to this properties area here, this little scene, I think it is. Yeah, that says scene. This is scene. You're going to need to click on the modifiers tab, which is the wrench over here. And then you're going to have to add a modifier. We're looking for the one called subdivision surface over here. Now, as you can see, when I applied that, it suddenly got this odd shape to it. Also, make sure render is equal to 1, just to keep that shape, because if you look at the viewport, which is this panel over here, if you turn the details up to 2, that's what you're going to be seeing, and that's not something nice to look at, because that doesn't look like a blade. That just looks like some sort of frisbee. Anyway, we're gonna have to position the blade, so bring it down enough to make it fit the actual blade scale. If I click off of that, does that work? Yeah, kind of. Okay, maybe lower a bit more. Yeah, kind of. Okay. No, I don't think the blade looks nice with these little things poking inwards, so we can fix that actually. So select the blade, press tab to enter editor mode, and oh yeah, you can't see inside that, so we're going to have to turn on X-ray mode so we can see behind everything else, which is this little button at the top here. And suddenly we can see everything. I just realized I'm still not in edit mode. Oh yeah. Sorry for freaking you out if you were following along and that didn't work. We need to apply this to make it work. So let's just click apply, and then voila, you can play with its vertices. Now anyway, you want to select these 2 vertices, the ones in the, would you call that a corner? The ones in the something. Now press S to scale, and believe it or not, you can just move it up and down and they will split. Now, I still want it to curve in a tiny bit, but like nothing so noticeable that it kind of wants to make you tear your eyes out. So that works. That's good. Now, deselect the vertices, press tab, turn off X-ray mode up here, and then that's great. We got the blade. everything's good in this blade. Now the next part, which is the easier part, believe it or not, is the colouring. Actually, it's probably not hard to guess that the colouring is easy, but let me dream. So we're going to go to here. If you look at these settings at the top, you want to click the full circle, and it's called viewport shading. Now that's shading the object. Mine's a little low resolution when I move around, because if you go into the camera picture over here, my render engine is set to cycles. Originally it's set to Eevee, but cycles just makes the render a lot nicer. That's really up to you whether you want Eevee or cycles. I mean, cycles, yeah, it renders better, but its downside is just the weird particle effect it has going on whenever you move. So to remove that, you can easily just go back to viewport and then you're fine. Anyway, back to this. We need to make sure we're in here to see the colours. We want to click the handle to start off with. Find the bowl with the checkered pattern on it over here. And then we're going to need to add a material, so click new. And then we've got a material. Now find base color, the base color property, which is over here. Click it, and well, the color of it is really up to you, but I'd usually go with a slightly dark grey, not fully black, because that doesn't work. Trust me, I've tried. Alright, and then we can go to the bit in between the blade and the... you know what? Aha! I found out. It is called the guard. I finally found out the name. Anyway, click on the guard. We're going to need another new material for it, so click new. And then for the guard, my preferred colour would be a golden sort of look to it. Something that's golden but not like too bright. So that's about fine. And the blade itself is actually pretty good. So thinking about it, actually that's probably perfect. That's about the blade finished. Now this is the blade model in render, but if you want to go to actually rendering this thing so it looks cool, where did the camera go? Why is the camera up here? What the hell? Okay, I'm gonna move this camera up. So the camera is kind of what you see when you take out the render picture, so move it inwards like that, just really to a position where it easily shows off the sword. Just do it. No, that's still not good. By the way, if you want to know how I'm looking through the camera, I'm clicking this little picture here, and it just shows you what it's seeing. So there's an easier way to move it. If you are looking through the camera view, you're able to select the camera, then press G, then suddenly you move the camera around. So I want the camera to be placed here, and we don't want the knife to be like half shown, so press G again, but push down the scroll wheel button. And once you have the scroll wheel button pushed, you just need to press it instead of holding it, by the way. You can move your mouse up and down and it zooms in or out. Then that's done. We've got the camera position. The only thing we're missing is the light. Where is the light? Where has it gone? It has just disappeared. Oh wow, it actually has disappeared. Okay, I think you shift a light over here and point. Did I get it? Where? Oh, it's right here. Okay, so the lighting is really up to you, like on which angle you want it on. But now to make the light more noticeable, we're gonna have to turn up its watts. So make sure you're in this panel, by the way, the green light bulb, and just kind of drag that along, to make it nice and noticeable. There's supposed to be a range property here, but I can't find it and I'm not bothered to look for it. Let's check the camera view now. That's good. Now that we've got this whole thing set up, all we have to do to complete is press F12, or you could do, I don't know what that noise was. You could press F12 or you could go to render and then image. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you like it. I can make more Blender tutorials if I really had the motivation. I mean, yeah, I would probably normally do it, but I can't even think straight right now. It is 10 PM at night and Discord's going off. I'm tired. I'm slurring words. I'm not optimistic. Oh my god, Discord. I'll see you in the next video.